What's up, Smart Homers? My name's Aaron, and in this video, we're going to go over the basics of Home Assistant themes. I'll walk you through the default themes, how to create your own theme, how to install custom themes, and how to modify custom themes, which, in my opinion, is the best way to get the custom theme that you want. In the end, I'll go over my favorite custom themes, including the one that I use in my main instance of Home Assistant. First, let's quickly go over what themes are. This is important because there are some visual aspects of Home Assistant that can't be changed with a theme. Themes change the colors, fonts, and look of Home Assistant, but not its functionality. Themes cannot change the layout of your UI, the functionality of cards or buttons, or sidebar items and navigation. Themes change colors, fonts, background, spacing, and styling via CSS variables. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets, and it's commonly used with HTML on web pages. A theme in Home Assistant is essentially just a collection of these CSS variables in a text file called a YAML file. Now that we understand what themes are, let's take a look at the default themes in Home Assistant. In my opinion, these have a lot to be desired, so let's hope to see them updated in the future, or at least a few more knobs that you can turn right in the UI to get them looking the way you want. Click the Profile button in the bottom left corner of the screen in Home Assistant, and then scroll down to the Browser Settings section of this Profile Settings page. The first sentence you see is pretty much telling you that themes are set by the browser or client, meaning that if you have Google Chrome open and you set a theme there in Home Assistant, if you were to then use Edge or Firefox or the Android or iOS companion apps, you would not see that same theme set there. The theme would not synchronize. Once it's set for a client, it stays though, which is nice. Anyway, the first option is the theme option, which would allow you to change between the default theme and any third-party themes that you've installed. Since we haven't installed any others, we just have the default theme. Below that, you can see the options for the default theme. This theme supports light and dark mode, so it can match your system, or you can specify which you want. You can see that if I click light, I get this super bright white looking theme, which probably just hurt your eyes. Sorry about that. To the right, we also get primary and secondary color options. The main colors of a theme can be set by these, so you can change the look quite a bit just by adjusting those. So that's really it when it comes to themes in Home Assistant. Thanks for watching. See ya. Just kidding, there's a lot more you can do, so let's get into it. But if you're enjoying the pace of this video so far, hit the subscribe button so you can see more videos like it, and hit the like button to let me know. Next, I want to talk about installing custom themes. Custom themes add more styling beyond the default that you get in Home Assistant, and allow you to set pretty much any color you want. You could add or remove card shadows, border radii, and so much more. There are many custom themes out there created by the Home Assistant community members, and we can install those so we don't have to create our own. Once I show you how to install these custom themes, I'll also show you how to create your own, or even just tweak the ones you've installed. Before we install any, we need to make sure that Home Assistant is prepared to accept custom themes. If you've installed Home Assistant recently, this should already be set up for you. And to verify this, I did a full reset on my test instance of Home Assistant. So if so, you can skip this step. But if you installed Home Assistant a long time ago, you're going to have to do it manually. It actually involves a little bit of code, but it's really simple, so I'm going to walk you through it. First, you're going to need an add-on for Home Assistant that allows you to edit configuration files. You're going to need this add-on for future steps anyway, so you might as well get it now. I use the File Editor add-on. To install this, go to Settings, Add-ons, click Add-on Store in the bottom right, and then click the File Editor add-on with the green wrench icon. Click Install, and then tick the Add to Sidebar toggle. Now we want to click the wrench in the sidebar to open the File Editor web UI, then click the folder icon in the upper left. In the Home Assistant directory, there should be a file called configuration.yaml, which is your main configuration file. In the earlier days of Home Assistant, we had to modify this configuration file all the time, but these days I rarely touch it. Home Assistant has come a long way. In this file, we need to look for an entry that says front end, and below it, and indented 2 spaces, should be a line that reads as you can see here: themes, space, exclamation point, include underscore dir underscore merge underscore named space themes. If it's already there, you're good to go. If not, you're going to need to add it and save the file by clicking the floppy disk icon in the upper right. Once that's done and you've restarted Home Assistant is now ready for custom themes. See, not too bad. The next step is to install HACS, also known as the Home Assistant Community Store. This gives you access to third-party integrations as well as themes, but we're only looking at themes in this video. If you don't know how to install HACS, follow the guide that I've linked in the description, or go to hacs.xyz and follow the instructions there. They're pretty simple. Once HACS is installed, we can now browse HACS for custom themes to install. Once you've opened HACS, change the filter type to theme, and then scroll through the available themes. I like this one called Noctis, so let's click that and then click download. Now that it's installed, we need to refresh our browser or close and reopen the app if you're using that. Once refreshed, click the profile icon down in the bottom left of the sidebar, scroll down to browser settings, and in the theme dropdown, choose the Noctis theme that we just installed. You can see how immediately things start to look better. And again, I wish we could see better default themes built into Home Assistant, but hopefully they will in the future. Poke around a little bit and see if the user interface looks good to you, and if it does, hit the like button on this video and hit subscribe. Now, let's go over how to create your own custom theme from scratch. Like I mentioned previously, themes are created in YAML files, so it's all done in code, but it's not too hard to follow. To do a basic theme, let's head to our File Editor add-on and then navigate to the Themes folder in the Home Assistant directory. If that folder isn't there, you're going to need to create it, but it should be. From there, we'll add a new folder using the New Folder button in the upper left corner, and the folder will be named the same as our theme name. For example, let's call this one Like and Subscribe. So we'll create a folder with that name, but I'll put underscores instead of spaces between the words and no capital letters. Now we can see that the folder has appeared in our themes folder, so I'll click that to open it. Now inside that folder, we'll create a file by clicking the new file icon in the upper left. We'll name this one the same as the folder, but with .yaml YAML at the end. Like and subscribe.yaml. We'll see that the file is added on the left side over here, so let's click it to open it. The first thing we need to do is type the theme name at the top. So just like we did with the folder and file, let's type like underscore and underscore subscribe colon. Take this moment to like and subscribe. Underneath this entry is where all of our variables for our theme are going to be defined. Our fonts and text sizes, colors and spacing, and all the rest. We're going to start really small since this is for beginners, but I hope it gives you the idea of how it works. When we define colors and things like that in this theme file, whatever we don't define, Home Assistant's going to fill it in with variables from its default theme. Let's start with some basic color changes, specifically our primary and accent colors, which again are the main colors of the front-end interface. We indent 2 spaces under the name of the theme, and then enter the text just as you see here for primary color. Here you can enter the names of colors, which are CSS-defined colors. If you want to list these colors, I'll leave a link to W3 Schools, where they list every single CSS color and even give you color theory so you can see how each color looks on another. If you want a very specific color not listed here, you can enter the hexadecimal value for it, and even these CSS-defined colors also have hex values, as you can see here. I set the primary color to lawn green and the accent color to steel blue. To apply the theme, we just head to the Developer Tools menu, which is the hammer icon on the sidebar, and then in the YAML tab, check our configuration with the Check Configuration button. If you get the green All Good to Go message, proceed. If not, you have an error with your theme and you need to fix it. Otherwise, when you restart next, Home Assistant's not going to work properly. Next, under the YAML configuration reloading, click All YAML Configuration. This will allow Home Assistant to recognize your theme without fully restarting. So now we'll click our profile icon in the corner and scroll down to the browser settings again. In the theme dropdown, choose Like and Subscribe and watch what happens. The first thing is that if you were using dark mode before, it now jumps to light mode. That's because our theme is using the built-in theme colors wherever we didn't define any. And since we didn't define a dark and light mode, it defaults to light mode. Notice too that when we click the drop down, the highlighted item is a little hard to read, and that's because we didn't do a very good job when picking colors for our theme. Now, let's say we want to try light and dark mode in our theme. Under the theme heading, we're now going to add a modes option, and beneath the modes, we'll add the light and dark modes. Within those modes, we can define the colors. Any colors defined at the previous level will be applied first, and then will be overwritten by anything specified for each mode individually. Now, if we save the theme, reload the YAML, and head back to the user profile page, we can see that the theme has options for light and dark modes. Again, these modes are based on the default light and dark modes, modified only by the colors that we've specified. Okay, so now you guys sort of know how custom themes basically work, including how to create modes within a theme. So now I want to break some bad news to you guys. Creating a brand new theme completely from scratch is really hard. It's time consuming because you have to set so many different variables. And it seems to me that if I don't set a variable, that color, wherever I see it in the UI, is going to look bad with the other colors I've chosen. Every time you change one of these individual variables, you have to reload the YAML just to see if it looks good. A much easier way to create a customized theme without having to define every single variable yourself is to modify a custom theme that already exists. What I'm going to do is pull up a custom theme, and we can go through some of the variables that are defined there so you can get a feel for some of the other options that you have in custom themes. We're going to use the Noctis theme, which is my favorite custom theme, but there are some modifications that I want to make. The first thing you need to do is download the Noctis theme if you haven't already, and I showed that earlier in the video. Next, we'll head to the File Editor add-on and navigate to the Themes folder. Here we're going to create a new folder called Noctis 2. After that, we can navigate to the original Noctis folder, open the Noctis theme file, and copy all of that text in that file. Then we can go back to the Noctis 2 folder we created, create a new file called noctis2.yaml, and inside there we can paste what we've copied. Then we just need to change the theme name at the very top to Noctis 2, save it, and there we go. We've successfully copied the Noctis theme to Noctis 2. If you scroll through this theme file, you can see how many different variables have been defined and how difficult this would have been for us as beginners to define them all from scratch. Any of the fields that you see that begin with a hashtag or #, depending on what generation you're from, are lines that are commented out, so they will have no effect on the theme because they're kind of ignored. Comments can actually be used to define sections, as you can see here, headings over some of the different sections in the YAML file. The creator of the Noctis theme has really done a great job at labeling everything, so it makes it so easy to go in and modify it like we're doing now. I'll show you a couple examples of things I want to change. The first thing I want to do is change the border radius of the cards in Home Assistant. I feel like it's a little too sharp. To do this, let's scroll down to the section that has to do with cards and find the property called card border radius. Right now it's set at 5px, and we're going to change that to 20px. Then we'll hit the red save icon in the upper right, and once we've saved it, we need to reload that YAML code. We'll click the Developer Tools icon in the left sidebar, and then click Check Configuration to make sure everything looks good. If it does, we'll click All YAML Configuration under the Reloading section to reload all the themes in Home Assistant. Once that's done, we can go down to our User Profile menu and scroll down to where we select our theme. We'll first choose the original custom Noctis theme. When we select it from the dropdown, it's going to load that theme, and you'll notice the corners of the cards in this menu are still sharp. Since we've rounded the corners for the Noctis 2 theme, we'll select Noctis 2, and you can see the corners immediately become more rounded. I think this looks a lot better, and there we go. We've successfully made a copy of a custom theme and modified it. Okay, so the next change is something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. I love this Noctis theme, but I've always wanted to have a dark red or burgundy color version of it for fall. It's time to make some changes. We'll end up changing about 14 different color fields, starting with the text fields and the drop-down section. You can see as we run through and change some of the basic colors, a lot of the other color variables actually reference the ones we're changing, so only a few changes like this will drastically change the overall look. I won't get into too much detail showing what each color actually changes, but you can try them out yourself if you don't like the way it looks after. I'll also leave a copy of this Noctis Red theme that we're making in my GitHub if you want to have the code as an example. Okay, so now that we have all of these fields changed, let's go ahead and save the file. Then we'll head to Developer Tools and reload the YAML. When we do, immediately you see the changes, and wow, do they look great. I think the color really matches the vibe this time of year around my house, and I'm pretty pleased with the aesthetic. Now you may be hearing, Aaron, how did you come up with the colors for each variable and tweak them to get them just right? The answer is that I put the original Noctis theme code into ChatGPT and asked for a burgundy theme. Once it gave me that, I fixed some of the mistakes and colors that I wanted to be tweaked a little bit, and now I got a brand new take on the original theme. I did this as well to make a forest green variant as well as a dark purple variant of the Noctis theme, and then I named all three of them Noctis Red, Noctis Green, and Noctis Purple so that I could easily switch between them. My next plan is to give these themes a light and dark mode, but we're going to leave it at that for now. Now let's talk about how to change the background from a solid color to an image. First, click the folder icon in the upper left corner and look for a www folder in your main Home Assistant directory. If it doesn't exist, create it by clicking the new folder icon at the top, naming it www and clicking OK. Once the www folder is created, upload the image you want as your background into that folder. For example, I have an image called fall.png, so I'll just upload that there. Next, go back to your theme file. Under the background section, we need to add the CSS variable for the background image. You'll specify that the background should be centered, cover the entire area, not repeat, and be fixed. The URL for the image will reference the local path, which corresponds to that www folder that we created. Why it's that way is beyond me, but whatever. Finally, you'll assign that background image to the theme by using the Lovelace background variable and assigning the background image variable we just created to it. Save the theme file, go to Developer Tools, check your configuration, and reload all YAML. Now if we navigate to the overview dashboard, we can see that the background image is now behind your cards, giving the view a little bit of texture in this case. Again, you can do any image you want pretty much, but you don't want it to be too distracting. The card should be the main focus. So this image I created with ChatGPT is a nice example because it matches the theme's colors so as to not be too distracting. Okay, so now we want to add a custom font to our theme. The process is pretty straightforward. First, we need to add the font as a resource in Home Assistant. And to do that, we're going to grab a font from Google Fonts. Let's go over to fonts.google.com. You can see a variety of fonts available here, so we'll just scroll through and pick one that we like. Let's say we go with a font called Oswald. Once we select Oswald, we'll click on Get Font in the upper right corner and then choose Get Embed Code. In that embed code, we'll find a URL that points directly to the font file. We'll copy that URL up to the ampersand before the word display, and we'll also make note of the font name Oswald because we'll need to reference it in our theme. Now we'll go back to Home Assistant. In Home Assistant, go to Settings, then Dashboards, and then open the three-dot menu in the upper right corner. Choose Resources, then click Add Resource in the bottom right corner. Paste the URL we copied, click the Style Sheet Radio button, and click Create. Now the Oswald font is available as a resource in Home Assistant, so we just need to reference it in our theme file. Now we can go back to our theme file by clicking the file editor icon and navigating back to our theme file if it doesn't show immediately. We'll update the primary font family and any other font related variables to use Oswald. Notice that some of the font variables just reference the primary font, so you don't need to change those. They will change with the primary font. Once that's done, we save, check our configuration, reload the YAML, and you can see that everything changes to the Oswald font. And of course, if we switch back to a theme that doesn't use the Oswald font, we can see the font change back to the default. After reviewing the theme with the Oswald font, I decided that I didn't quite like it for the entire interface, so I reverted back to the original Noctis theme fonts. Now I just want to change the headers, things like card headings and menu titles, to something a bit fancier while leaving the rest of the fonts alone. To do this, we'll go back to fonts.google.com, and I found one there called Playwright DESAS that feels a bit more decorative, so we're going to select that font, click Get Font, and then Get Embed Code just like before. We'll copy the URL up to the ampersand and note the font name Playwright DESAS. Back in Home Assistant, we'll go to Settings, Dashboards, open the three-dot menu, and choose Resources. We'll add this new font resource just like before. Now let's quick go back to Google Fonts and copy the name of the font so that we don't need to remember exactly how it's spelled. Then we'll go to our theme file, find the Ha font family heading and the Ha card header font family, and replace those two with the Playwright DESAS font. Once we save the theme, we'll head to Developer Tools, check the configuration, and reload the YAML. Now you're going to see that the headers and menus and cards have a really nice looking fancy font, which I feel like kind of fits the vibe. Maybe there's another font that could be a little bit better, but I think it looks pretty sweet. It's a nice touch of uniqueness, and you can always change that font to a different one to get it just the way you want. I think we'll stop there with customization of these themes now, because if I do any more, some of you guys are going to complain that this isn't for beginners anymore. Instead, as promised, let me show you my favorite custom themes for Home Assistant from the Home Assistant Community Store. The first one is Noctis, so we're going to skip that one. We kind of already showed that a bunch in this video, but it's absolutely my favorite. The second one is called Nordic, which has a similar feel, but it has a lot of pastel colors, which can look pretty nice. It's a nice alternative, and I think it's really easy on the eyes. My third favorite is the iOS Themes Pack, which has a bunch of different themes which give you that iOS feel. These are especially nice for wall-mounted tablets, I think, as they really draw the eye and have a clean look. And it's actually one of the first custom themes I installed, and I really loved it. So that's pretty much it for this one. If you have a favorite theme that I haven't mentioned in this video, let me know in the comments because I'd love to check it out. If this video helped you, hit that like button and subscribe for more beginner Home Assistant videos, and check out my playlist for all of the ones I've made already. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. See ya.